How
hmm
did you develop such versatility as an artist, and how do you sort of balance so many different styles in your work?
Yeah, that's a great question. For me, I've found that choreography for me is a gift, and I've realized that. And I know that it's something that comes to me fairly easily. I would say growing up among dance and being able to take dance classes, and I would say also growing up in New York City, being able to go to dance shows, I know I was exposed to a lot. And I feel like when it comes to dance, when it comes to creation, imagination, I feel like I'm very much like a sponge. So I'm able to kind of take all those things in. So I feel like between that and then, of course, between my training as well, I feel like I'm able to kind of absorb a lot of things so that I can then choreograph it and kind of put it on other dancers. I will also say, just full disclosure, I realize that I'm not the best quote unquote technical dancer, technical in regards to ballet, contemporary, modern jazz. However, I realize again the way that my mind works choreographically, I know that I still have the vision to choreograph. To me, I kind of equate it to like a director. A director may not necessarily be the best actor, but they can help guide the actors into doing what they need to do to create the best performance. So even in sports, sports coaches aren't known to be the best players at all, but they're really great coaches because they know the game. So I feel like for me, I feel like I know the game of dance and I can kind of create work that essentially does well and wins for everyone.
Yeah, and I love that because that comes through in your choreography. It's so gorgeous and so beautiful and also
Thank you.
very creative. But I think that's so refreshing to hear because, I mean, I think you're a gorgeous dancer, but I think also within dance, there's no such thing as perfection. And we all sort of have that idea that we're never going to be technically perfect. And that can be very hard to work through. So it's
Right.
nice to hear that nobody's going to ever be at that mythical point of perfection, and you can still create incredible work. I
Thank
know
you.
that you mentioned you sort of started in theater and pursuing acting at LaGuardia High School, and some of your work has been seen off Broadway. So what was that transition from theater to dance? Like, how did you decide to move more toward dance? And are you still pursuing theater at all?
Although my focus was theater, I mean, I was still taking dance classes when I was younger. At a certain point, at a certain point, I stopped taking most classes, but I found my connection to dance more through tap. So I was taking tap classes in addition to theater classes. But then when it came to auditioning for high schools, for performing arts high schools, I remember my parents, especially my dad, was like, "So you're gonna go for dance, right?" And I was like, "No, I think I wanna go for theater." Like, I feel more connected to theater and acting as opposed to dancing. Because as much as I enjoy dancing, I know for me, at the time, I didn't necessarily wanna pursue a career for dance. At the time, I wanted to pursue a career for acting. So I feel like for me, going to performing arts high school is preparing myself for a career in that thing. So I decided to pursue theater. But as a theater major at LaGuardia, we also took dance classes. So I was still connected to dance in that way. Also, at the time, I was a part of a dance company called the Charles Moore Dance Theater. And I was a part of the youth ensemble. And this was the initial click for me because I was part of the youth ensemble. We were dancing, but there was an program that we did called Junior Choreographers, in which they had the youth company members choreograph. And that was the key. I was like, I like this. And I feel more connected to this than I think I do acting. So once I discovered choreography in that way, although I was a theater major, I was choreographing a lot, like while I was there, to the point where I remember looking back at my yearbook a few years ago and no one was mentioning, Kadeem, I love your acting. You're such a great actor. Most of the written comments were like, Kadeem, I love your choreography. You're a great choreographer. You would think I was a dance major because I was always on the dance floor. I was always creating choreography. So that I knew that that was my focus. Although I went to LaGuardia for theater, I was choreographing a lot because I discovered choreography outside. And then I was like, well, I'm here for theater, but I can still do dance classes. Really just focus my attention a lot on choreography. So once I knew that in high school that choreography was the focus, then when I decided to go to college, I said, well, maybe I can double major in theater and dance because I still enjoy theater as well. However, I realized that if I wanted to do that, I had to go to a BA program. And I was looking at maybe going to a BFA program. And you can't do a BFA program in both theater and dance because BFA is very rigorous. Decided to go to a college, Muhlenberg College in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Decided to double major in theater and dance, but then quickly realized as a theater BA major, I'm not doing a lot of acting here. It's a lot about theater history and theater and sociology, which is great, which is wonderful. But I knew for myself, I wanted to pursue a career as an actor. So I dropped my theater major and just pursued dance for the rest of the time I was there, and then decided to then move fully into dance. So, but then to answer your other question about am I still doing theater now, I found that after I left college and was pursuing a career in choreography, at the same time I was a dance teaching artist in different institutions and schools and organizations to kind of help support myself at the same time as I was still doing choreography, which is great. But then I got burnt out and I was all right, I'm done with this. And then just kind of pivoted solely into wellness in 2019. But I've come to a point now where I'm like, I'm missing that connection to my artistic practice. So I have been getting back into it. So to talk about me getting back into theater and the arts, I'm actually directing and performing in a stage reading that's happening in November of this year.
Congratulations, that's amazing.
Thank you.
That's really cool that you
Thank
were
you.
able to come back to it in that way, and is the reading open to the public, or is it's
It
just
is.
are you able
Yeah.
to share any information about it, or is it a little too early?
Yeah, I can. It's happening November 7th and 8th in Brooklyn at a dance studio called Dance Wave. And it's a story called, play is called Hidden in Plain Sight, the story of Alice Barker. So I'll start here. So the play overall is about a woman who breaks color barriers in the 1930s, dancing in white clubs in New York City. And the kicker, though, is that many decades later, in 2016, she's 102 years old now, living in a nursing home, right? And this is all a true story. This is all in here in this play is true. True story. 16, living in a nursing home, 102 years old, and has no family, no friends. It's just her by herself. So she's talking with one of the staff members, and this staff member realizes, oh, wait, you said that were performing in 1930s in these clubs, and you were in movies and TV shows. Let me see if we can find something about you, maybe just dancing or dancing of you dancing on film. And the staff member did and recorded her, like reacting to her dancing from the 30s. And that video went viral on YouTube and currently sits at 40 million views on YouTube. So the story is about this woman's life, Alice Barker, who essentially 102 years in a nursing home, no family, no friends, but had a second chance at being seen again and having a second chance at being famous.
I love that you're working on this, and I love actually this ties in with the concept of adult ballet, and so it's perfect. And,
It
any of our
does.
listeners who are
Yep.
interested in checking that
Perfect.
out, so you said November 7th and 8th in Brooklyn.
Yes. Yeah. And they can, if they want more information, they can reach out to me directly. Maybe Instagram, Kadeem One, or email me, Kadeem@KadeemOne.com to find out more information.
Okay, yeah, that's great. I hope some of our listeners can come, and I'll be in town, so maybe I can stop by too. I'd love to check it out. Thanks
Awesome.
for sharing
Great.
info
Wonderful.
about that. Yeah,
Of
and so
course.
sort of back to your career in dance. I know you mentioned in 2019 you shifted then sort of to working full time in the arts, but in the holistic wellness space. So, can you
Mhm.
talk a little bit about that transition? I know that you co-founded Full Force Wellness and Dance Repertory. I love
Mhm.
the name of that, Full Force. It's so great. So,
Thank
can you
you.
talk about the work that you did with that and kind of transitioning into wellness?
Yeah. So let's see. Back in 2010, at the time I was a sophomore in college, as amazing as Muhlenberg was, well, it was amazing. Gotta preface it, it was amazing. I also felt like I was artistically dying there. And I feel like I wasn't getting a chance to do the work that I really wanted to do. So between my sophomore and junior year of college, I said I need to create something and to start something to be creative. So between that sophomore and junior year in the summertime, went back to New York City and decided to start a company. And that's where Full Force Dance came about. And started it with at the time, my co-founder, Ann Janice. We started it together. And at the time, she was getting her master's degree in dance therapy. And we said, okay, well, this was a great summer. This is wonderful. We did some things. Let's try it again next summer after a year of me being an undergrad and her being in her master's program. So we came back again, 2011, summer, did it again, did the company. And then after we both graduated, because she graduated from her master's program in 2012, I graduated from undergrad in 2012, we decided to then just move forward with the company uh, full force and started to operate it year round. Yeah, so that was since 2012 doing that. But then 2015, that's when we said, well, what are we doing? Why are we doing our wellness stuff outside the company? Why don't we just bring it together? So that's kind of what started Full Force Wellness Dance Repertory, adding that wellness aspect to it. And we decided to really incorporate wellness in a variety of and ways, whether it was doing workshops with audiences, whether it was as we were having rehearsals with dancers, including the wellness aspect with them as well, whether it was doing things